The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation.
The Foundation with Howard Grant is brought to you by Alive, Bahamas Bus and Truck, Burger King, Commonwealth Bank, Divinia Grill Foods, and Wendy's.
It's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation. So it's the foundation.
It's the foundation that's rocking the nation. Howard Grant's the host, Guardian radio station 96.9, 12 to 2 is the time. You can call the show or use the text line. Yeah, he educates, he informs. He goes against the norm. He's really got that zeal. Plus, he's a child of God.
Foundation. It's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation. Foundation. So it's the foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio, Howard Grant in your company, The Foundation. On this absolutely gorgeous Wednesday afternoon, you know it's hump day, and we have what I consider what we always talk about, a panel discussion. Now, this ain't no panel today. In fact, this can be sort of the amalgamation of counsel around many a king today, but all from the mouth of one man. I put some information out there. We got to start the show off like this. I got to be as decent as possible with the introduction of this thing, right? I put some information out there, you know, over my phone, over my social media, a couple of spaces. And for the very first time, right, for the amount of text that came through before the show was mind-boggling. I was supposed to put it out last night. The thing didn't happen, right? You know, I kind of make it up on my phone by myself. And sent it out, and I got a tremendous amount of, oh my God, Howard, this is a great Bahamian. Oh my God, Howard, I can't believe this. Oh my God, Howard, you're the best. Which, you know, I appreciate that. Praise God, right? But as I'm reading it, I asked him, has anyone ever identified you as the consciousness of a nation? Now, that can be heavy. Talk to me. All right? That can be heavy. But we've been listening to this gentleman for years. Me and my short 40-some years here on this earth, on this side of eternity, and being able to stand strong and understanding my necessity to be able to contribute to my environment, this voice has always been a steadfast voice, a consistent voice, a voice of strength, never viewed through the lens of racial disparity and sort of the distance there that exists in that space. You know, persons say, well, this one white or this one black. But always a consistent, sound message about the upliftment and position for the Bahamian people. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be able to introduce you, if you don't know, and sort of reintroduce and really introduce to this platform with me for the very first time, none other than Pierre Depuch. My brother, it is an absolute honor to have you sitting with us today. You are a good and decent man. I thank you so much for being able to take up this invitation. Say good afternoon to the Bahamian people.
Well, first of all, let me say I'm no hero. Just a barefoot island boy trying to do what I'm supposed to do. And I'm not like very many people because I speak my mind no matter who it is, okay? I don't mean to offend people, but I have my mind. God gave it to me, and I have my thoughts. And I'm not afraid to express them. But I am just a barefoot island boy trying to do good. I don't need any accolades around my head.
Well, you don't need
But
to
I
take the
appreciate,
accolades.
I appreciate.
But they will be showered upon you in existence. These are your flowers. Because let me tell you why. I like some stuff and some information about, like I said before the show started, I read about your history. I read all the way back from Leon to Etienne and just being able to take bits and pieces. And there is a thread, a sense of consistency that actually runs through this social advocacy and standing to be able to speak for a community and for people. And so we recognize those things. And sometimes the idea that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree can be good or bad. And in this instance, it is an absolutely wonderful thing to see that you've still been able to, over these years, over the course of history, still being able to take up this course, this torch, and speak truth to power, even after all this time here in the country.
Thank you very much, sir.
You were. I want to talk to you about this. Tell me about your history for all those persons who have not necessarily been able to, pay attention over those years. As a refresher, tell me about your grandfather, Leon, and his sort of commitment that he's done here in the country.
Well, my grandfather started the Tribune. He worked, as I told you before, he worked at the Guardian, and he started the Tribune in 1903. And the motto of the Tribune has been nullius addictus terrare verba magistri. That means being bound to the swear of the dogmas of no master. And that has been its way for all that time. And it was started really by him to fight for the equality of people, whether they be black, white, Greek, or Syrian. People were people that were created by God, and they should have equal opportunity. And that is the way I was brought up. He fought for that. He started the Tribune that way. Dad went off to war, and when he came back, he took over the Tribune, and he continued First World War.
First World War.
He served he's been in the House of Assembly. I think the Puches have been in the first House of Assembly was created in the Bahamas. I'm not sure about that. They're very close to it. And this has been our sort of excuse for existence. A lot
I like
of people.
that. I like just excuse for existence, not purpose. This is crazy that you. Okay, go ahead. Right, go ahead.
So this is how we were brought up. For me personally, I took my first professional photographs for the Tribune when I was 14 years old. Because all we did, we let, and Dad, as you probably heard, has long ago believed that we could support ourselves in this country. We didn't have to bring all the stuff in. And we had, when I was 1 year old, we moved to Camperdown, and there was nothing but bush there. And he started his farm, cows and goats and sheep and chickens and all the rest of the stuff. And during the war, we fed ourselves. We never bought anything. And so, as a child, I was brought up to be feeding chickens and taking care of horses and that kind of stuff. And I didn't have time for play games and sailing clubs and all that sort of stuff.
This was in the. Okay, now I got to follow you. You got to give me an opportunity as a young man. But I've read significant history, and I've listened and had great conversations with so many persons who would tell me the difference between the First World War, Second World War. Second World War, there was a significant sort of a famine in the land, right?
Yeah.
Was this during the time of the Second World War when you guys were taking care of yourselves? Because
Yeah,
it sounds like you know entrepreneurialism, this sort of an industrial position of being able to take care of yourselves. Was this the Second World War?
It would have been the First World War.
Yeah, I know you was
But
around.
no, we moved to Camperdown when I was 1 year old, and I'm 85 now. In fact, I was 85.
And in the
on Sunday.
midst of, there wasn't many things coming into the island. Loftus Roker likes to tell this story that he didn't even know. He just thought he was poor. He didn't even know that there was sort of deprivation that existed globally. He just thought he was poor. And he was talking about potatoes and so forth and so on. During this time, your family was taking care of itself.
That's right.
That is crazy.
Well, that's the way it is. And that's why I laugh at people when they say can't do this and can't do that. I can swear to it that we did it. And so when we weren't working there, we were working the Tribune. Because the so-called Bay Street boys, that turned into the UBP, tried to destroy us from that time. And so, since I was a child, probably 8 years old, I was sweeping floors at the Tribune. And every waking hour, we were either picking fruit, planting, or working in the Tribune.
So, despite this kind of social disparity and a desire to be able to undermine your family's position, the Tribune is a paper that has become a part of the community.
Well, I think
They never shut you down.
No, they tried to. They tried to. In 1956, Virtue went to press with no advertising. Bay Street was given the order, don't advertise with the Puge. I was away at school at the time, and I used to come back when at Christmas time, and my brother, who was running the advertising department, we come up with these specials, Christmas special, gun special, hunting specials, that sort of stuff. He giving me a thing to go down in Bay Street and sell advertising for him. And I was still in high school, and or just finishing high school. And I went down Bay Street, and I rented one place that done advertising with us for years. And tears came to the man's eyes.
So you can't do nothing.
He said, Pierre, I'm awfully sorry. He says, but Stafford has given the word. I can't put an ad in your paper.
My God.
That's right.
Wow.
And that's the way it was. That's the way it was.
So Stafford, it wasn't just black people. Stafford was out here.
No, but you see, again.
Generally.
See, so again, you don't. Stafford Sands and those people lived in a time, in an era. They were one of the boys. They thought this is the way it was. Stafford was a brilliant man, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
And rather than letting people know how brilliant he was, they called him everything but a child of God, which socially he was. But rather than destroying him, say this is good and this is bad, so people understand the difference. Rather than he was a white man trying to hold a black man down. It's not true. He was living in a time, but he didn't invent this thing. It grew up. Try to explain this to you. When I was at St. John's University, I went to school with Dr. Tim McCartney. You've probably heard of him. He's dead now. But Timmy and I are like brothers. And we were at school one day, and a fellow who was from the South said to me, "Hey, Puge, I got a problem." I said, "What's your problem?" He says, I was always taught by my parents that black people had smaller minds, brains, and they smell different. He says, but Timmy is the head of the class, and he smells like everybody else. I said, well, that's a lesson you've learned. And he and Timmy became very friendly.
Wow.
You see? So you have to criticize for criticizing. Nelson Mandela, for example. Nelson Mandela, after all of this stuff he went through, when he became prime minister, who did he put in his cabinet? The man who was I forget his name, Kirk or de Kirk or somebody like that. He said, because look, no more racial foolishness, everybody's equal, but you know how the finances go. And he utilized them. We have, in the past, unfortunately, this happens here in the United States because the colored card has been one of the very emotional thing. And they always say you get to put people emotional and they do anything. Okay, so anyway, that there is the those were the days. Stafford Sands, the R.T. Simmons, and all of them. They were dead against the Tribune. Dead against the Tribune.
But okay, so quietly, guys, we're going to dive into this conversation because you could see that I'm enthusiastic about the thing, and I'm trying my hardest to kind of pull back. There's been a lot of conversations, talks, ideas about the good old days and how things existed during this time. A great deal of persons of color would sit with me and start to talk about the disparity and segregation that existed during this time. They would tell me about, there was over the hill, and then there was, this particular elitist. There was this crew that always had access and opportunity. And those persons who were over the hill had great aspirations to live in a particular light. They wanted to live better. They wanted to do better. They aspired for more. They understand the importance of community and helping each other, but they did that during this time for mere survival. And it was a necessity. It was nothing that we did because of love. It was because of necessity, right? And as we move forward, I just had an opportunity to be able to sit down with George Smith, and I'm going to ask you the same question I asked George Smith. Though your family advocated and spoke to the equality of man and the necessity for all of us to be able to kind of move forward, as a white man in our society, why not aspire to move and affiliate yourself with the Bay Street Boys at the time? Why not affiliate yourself with the established organizations to ensure that you had this kind of a good way moving forward?
That's simply because we didn't agree that you should discriminate against anybody, and they shouldn't do certain things like give the buddy a contract and all that sort of stuff. And we were against it. I'm still against it. But that is how we were raised, and that was our feeling. You see, I believe this color thing has been used as unfortunately,
Political or racial?
It's political. Mm-hmm. Political. Hitler used it. Trump is using it now. All this. People don't understand that Hannibal, he crossed the Pyrenees and conquered southern Italy. Mm-hmm. And who were his soldiers? What color were they? Mm-hmm. And what color were his slaves?
Wow.
White.
Wow.
Are you going to live that he did this years ago?
Wow.
What Stafford Sands did, and I say Stafford Sands, but that particular part of society did in this country then, why do they try and take it out on white people now who had nothing to do with it? Yeah? You have to say that God gave you certain things, and you're supposed to rise above it. You're supposed to use your talents to better yourself and say, thank God we no longer have that holding us back. But right now, you probably have seen it many times. Color is used as an excuse today by many people, which is wrong. It's counterproductive. You go and the bums in the street. I believe in helping people who are hurting, but I'm not prepared to help bums, okay? My wife, who walks on a walker, we go to a certain place for breakfast, and there's a guy who's about 25 sitting on the sidewalk saying, would you give me some breakfast? Would you buy me some breakfast?
Overweight. Yeah, I know.
And what is my reaction supposed to be? And you know what his reaction is? Oh, you only say that because I was a black man.
Really?
Yeah. Happens all the time.
You know what I've seen? I think locally we have taken this approach to the colorism. Neocolonialism, this new concept of the colony, has been taken over post-73. This is what I believe, right? And they could not identify the segregation between white and black anymore. We unified as a nation, as a people. But there existed the sort of a buoyancy floating to the top of our society, a different type of segregation, political segregation. After 1970, I think it was October 70, when the Free National Movement was birthed. It was initially the UBP and the PLP, and then it became the PLP and the FNM. There has been political segregation in our country and identified through the colors that we carry in our political cards. And so I want to talk to you along that line and get into the core of our conversation. I want to talk to you about sort of conviction. Now, for me,
It took me a week. I made a few calls. I won't call the person's name, but I made a few calls and I asked some persons to come and sit with me. And I keep deducing with myself and I say, I don't think I want this person. The reason why is not because I am, holding it in doubt, is because there is a social disdain on certain persons. They've taken certain positions politically, right? Whether it's pronounced or whether it's based upon their posture. Some persons have taken certain positions in our society and they can't be able to speak with strength and articulate simply because 21/7, everyone know your business. And on this small island, if we're looking for conviction, if we're looking for strength, if we're looking for consistency, if we're looking for that proverbial traditional pillar to show us this is the course that we must take, who is going to be able to speak to what's happening? Most recently, and we're not going to be able to hide this. This is going to be a part of the conversation, but we're going to take it elsewhere. But most recently, there has been significant allegations popping up in the newspaper. I know you've seen it. You're a well-read man. You know about the history of the country. You know these things. There's been significant allegations about a member of parliament who, based upon the allegation, has sexually assaulted someone. This is some information that's coming forward. Now, we here at The Guardian haven't kind of broken it down because we haven't gotten those informations yet, and we know that this is an active case. But we have not seen officials. Most recently, the newspapers would indicate that the authorities is going to question this guy in the upcoming week, which is wild to me. I think it's big crazy, right? And simultaneously, you see the contrast of persons who making these social allegations of sexual assault and people getting locked up. I wanted to know convictions. And if it's not for the conviction of our system that exists, what about the conviction of the honorable man? The prefix attached conviction about the honorable man to stand up and say, what is being said about me is wrong. I want to know about that. And I thought that you would be the perfect person. And I know the stars aligned. And God bless me when you said you want to be able to have, because I want to know about that. I think that the next dispensation, especially in the year of our Jubilee, the next dispensation of leaders in this country, the youth, they need to hear that there is a mark. There is a bar. And though it may be lowered by political expedience over the years, we must raise this to see the country get back to where it should be. Now, I say a lot, but you got to let me take this commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this first commercial break. 96.9 FM Radio, Howard Grant, sitting here with none other than Pierre the Puch. Going to take this quick commercial break and be right back after this.
You got a little
foundation. The foundation. The foundation. 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 The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
Ready to step into the future? From your front door to the backyard and everywhere in between. See and speak to whoever's there with Ring Video doorbells and security cameras now available at Alive. Protect what matters most, all from one easy app. Visit bealive.com/ring to learn more. We are alive.
At Bahamas Bus and Truck Company Limited, we provide vehicles known for quality and durability. From the iconic Jeep Wrangler to the award-winning Grand Cherokee, we've got your everyday driver covered. For larger tasks, our Ram 1500, Mitsubishi Fuso Canter trucks, CMC Verica vans, and Fuso Rosa jitneys do way more than just deliver. We even carry a wide variety of pre-owned vehicles. To keep you going, our parts, service department, and body shop can accommodate our brands and others. Call us today at 322-1722 or email info@bahamasbus.com.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
My
My business couldn't survive without my credit card machine from Fidelity. It's fast, convenient, and my clients love it. My sales increased, and I can track my earnings. Get your credit card machine from Fidelity today. Call 356-7764.
Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
Divania's grilled food and products are now open in the Kenneth Plaza, Prince Charles Drive. Come, you must try their jerk chicken, jerk pork, and all their amazing grilled food. Grilled day amazing sauces made right here in the Bahamas. Divania's, grilling good food for life. Call or WhatsApp Divania's today at 817-4468.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. We're out here. It's not raining. It's a beautiful day. So happy to be in your company. I am kind of elated, man. I might as well tell you the truth. I'm excited. I feel like a schoolgirl. I'm always sort of an eager. I crave great conversations. I crave persons who can be able to speak with conviction and strength. You always hear me talk about this sort of an idea of rejecting, the social norms and sort of the political talking points of the day. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear conviction. I want to hear strength. I want to hear sort of this reinforcement of the Constitution and an understanding that it still stands today. I'm in here, if you're just tuning in, I'm in here with none other than Pierre DePuch being able to talk about some things. Now, when we left for the break, essentially to talk about the conviction of our political players, men and women who may not necessarily understand the prefix of honorable and continue to be able to contort themselves to say that, the Westminster system allows this or that or so forth and so on, but not understanding the strength that they have and the fact that so many eyes are on them for the next step that they take. Pierre, I wanted to kind of put that before you. I wanted to be able to talk with you about that, about the conviction of who we are. For a very long time, I got a couple calls, like I said to you. A person say, Howard, no one could have ever been able to identify or pinpoint or say that the DePuches or Pierre DePuch specifically has ever gone down this particular path. Talk to me about that, Pierre. Talk to me about conviction, strength in that sort of position.
Well, I'm sort of left speechless because, you're raised a certain way, you think a certain way, and that's the way it is. We don't believe in racism. We never have. The Tribune was started, and our family was basically started with. It didn't start there, obviously, but we believed that people were created equal, and we believed that our job, as I said before, was to create equal opportunity for all, regardless of their race, their standing in society, or anything else. Mm-hmm. And this is something that was not here in 1903. That's why the Tribune was started. It wasn't here in the 40s and the 50s. And I remember a lot of discrimination. I didn't No, but they didn't discriminate against me. I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in going to the Savoy Theatre and seeing movies. I was too busy doing something else. I was too busy, first of all, working at the Tribune or working on the farm at Capadon. These things didn't interest me. So this is the way we've been, and this is where I was brought up. So try to, and the other thing is you recognize that there was times when I was a young man and a boy that there was a lot of discrimination in the country. But as I said before, Hannibal, there was discrimination way back then. But you don't stand and dwell on it and make that a part of you. Just keep moving on. And this I don't agree with. Every time you turn around, even today, it's not as much today as it was in the 60s of what have you. It was everything rotated around color, and not the personality or the ability. And I think that's a disservice for the country, because we should be emphasizing ability, and saying into a man or a woman, look, you make your bed, you sleep in it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to sit there and cry about something that I have no control.
Social promotion eradicated this concept. Social promotion has stripped away. I feel like in the 80s, it was it had its sense of concentration. I feel like we felt less than in school if someone can do something and we couldn't participate. So we fought ourselves, we learned, we did everything we could to be able to identify ourselves, elevated for everything. I kind of carry that now. Oh, I was in set A for everything in my school. I slipped in set B one time. I felt disgusting, right? So this sort of an idea of always being able to push yourself has gone away with a whim. With the introduction of social promotion, people just elevating you because you're older, you're bigger, you look like you should do it.
I'll tell you of a situation. As you know, I represented Camp Road and St. James Road and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there on the platform one night, and I was talking to the people, and I stopped, and I said to them, I know exactly what's going through your mind. And they looked at me, and I said, you're wondering why this red so-and-so is up here telling you what's good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And would you believe it that people raised their head, shook their head, yes.
Mm.
And so I said, well, I'll tell you what, if you got a problem with your color, go talk to the man who made you that, not me.
Mm.
I'm scared of him, frankly.
Mm.
So let's get together and build this country and make this thing work. And I won by a landslide after that.
Mm.
People it's drilled into people, it's been used for political purposes. A lot of these people you find now who talk about white people and black people and all that sort of stuff, ask you, how did they get there? Some of the biggest racists in this country. This is black and white.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a racist, black racist, and a white racist.
Mm.
Now, who is the racist now? Some of the leaders of our country.
Mm-hmm. Many of them.
And that's exactly how they got in the House of Assembly, because they got nothing between their ears.
Mm.
They're trading on something God.
I want to go back to this. The one thing, they may not necessarily have intellectual capacity. We know that political organizations identify in this dispensation men and women who are going to serve the leaders. If it come down to a vote, if it come down to a position, we need a yes man rather than a strong backbencher to be able to speak to certain positions. So a great deal of persons have been identified, and their parents keep running up the skate. Oh, my baby is the MP. But, all they are is a token in many instances. I want to go back to this. Even though they may not necessarily have the education, exposure, and experience globally, they understand conviction. They know the difference between right and wrong. And every one of us, I believe, understand that prefix, honorable this, honorable that. Do you believe that the House of Assembly, for the most part, in this era, post-73, has lost a significant level of honorability.
Yes.
That's heavy. You that was too quick.
Yes.
That was quick.
I believe I like Brave Davis, okay? Because I've dealt with him. I found him to be fair. I found him to be honest in my dealings. And I find him to be concerned. But he's one man. And he inherited. You know, I read the newspapers every morning and feel like I can vomit sometimes. Because what happens is that they got a crowd jumping up and down now with no brains in the head saying, why do you have all the shooting? What are you doing about it? Well, what did they do about it? Loftus-Roker was right. He said, we have to stop immigration, illegal immigration. That was Loftus-Roker, and everybody criticized him, but Loftus-Roker was right. We have imported a lot of problems, and Brave Davis has inherited. You know, crime doesn't start overnight.
No.
It's a build-up of things. He's inherited some of I wouldn't want to be in his position, honestly. What he's inherited makes you sick, okay? The debt, the whole everything. And then they talk about the other day, they said, why haven't you built a new hospital? For what? Well, you promised one. Can't you think of anything else in this world that you need more than a new hospital? This morning's paper, I think, why haven't you built the new central bank? You need a new building for the central bank. Can't you think?
Well, that's kind of my sentiments also.
Can't you think of anything else we could spend the money on?
No, the $12 million for the central bank, I think it's wild. I see the former prime minister being able to talk about the fact that the Capitol building is broken down and it's given people more opportunity to be able to roam. There's a couple of things popped up in my head. No one is even going downtown anymore. That's one. Two, East Bay Street is deplorable, right? And so $12 million is a peculiar thing.
That happened. These places are deplorable. I don't think that I don't know why they broke that building down. Not the Boyle building, the
Churchill building.
The Churchill building. Yeah. I don't know why they broke it down, but made somebody feel happy. I don't know why. I was in there when I served as a minister and in the government, and I saw nothing. It was so alarming that a little fixing up wouldn't do. But they spend millions breaking things down and what have you, and then they turn around. It's incredible what they started to say. Brave Davis, you're spending too much money paying off debts. Well, who incurred the debts? The debts were incurred. They were dishonest and not paid them. So what's Brave supposed to do? Not pay them also? I think it's become a circus more than a House of Assembly.
And this okay, I can do this like this. Most recently, we would have been able to read, and guys, you could see that we are kind of sliding out of here for 1 o'clock, and then we'll be back after the break. But most recently, I did a little show. There is a significant sort of social chatter about transgenders, right? And this idea of being able to identify them in a particular light. And there is this significant push, not just here. I know I often hear you speak about not just the Bahamas, but the United States of America. There has been a significant push from a democratic standpoint in the United States of America that speaks to liberty and giving these communities and subsectors of society the same rights as others. So you see the LGBTQ community being able to take a very strong position to talk about, what their rights are and how they should be identified and so forth and so on. Uganda has taken a strong position also, because this is a global agenda. Uganda has taken a very strong position with their anti-gay legislation and, coming into law. They got significant pushback, all these things. And the one thing that I've seen, because I read up on Uganda, 46 million people, 1.5 million people, HIV, 4,000 some persons die a year, so forth and so on. I say these people got issues. Why would they stand on this one issue with such this kind of a relentless fear and determination to get it done. And the only thing that I can come up with is conviction. My question to you, whilst you see you may like Brave Davis and even other prime ministers, former prime ministers here at the country, do you believe that we lack, or do you believe that we have? Let me do it like that. Do you believe that we have the conviction to make a decision to make things happen, despite debt, despite the relentless snowball effect of one issue after another, deaths, murders, so forth and so on in our society? Do you believe that there is leadership, that exists leadership in this country that has the conviction to put the proverbial foot down and say, this is the course that we're taking? Talk to me about it.
But I think that a lot of the leadership, not only in this country but other countries, it's the mob again. What's the mob going to think? They talk about the whatever that they call themselves, the transgenders and that sort of stuff. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm not going to try and discriminate against anybody. If two men want to live together, that's their business. The biggest problem I see there that should be corrected is if two men are living together, certain things have to be done. Like, for example, if I went to the hospital, my wife had the right to sign for me and what have you like that. Or represent me, because she's recognized as, that's not the case with two men getting together. There's no reason why you can't change that law. I mean, it's simple.
Wow.
Now, wanting my daughter to go in the same bathroom with a man who claims he's himself to be a woman, and people do that now. I can't buy that. I can't buy that. Just like I can't buy a man going in the same bedroom, in the same bathroom as my daughter. Okay? I don't know. In that case, either you have a separate bathroom, or make up your mind what you want to be. But not today, because a lot of people say, well, pretend to be a woman and so they can go in the bathroom. I mean, people are vicious. So I think that there are equalities. You have a right, you have certain rights in a marriage, and the biggest right is that it's a civil thing, is that you're right, you have the right to, you should have the right to participate in all the civil things on an equal basis. Now, whether or not you want to have, well, of course, things change, but I was always raised to believe the marriage was between a man and a woman. And that's how I was raised. That was the feeling that was all over the place. And frankly, right now, I believe it still is. But I recognize, again, the right to be together. So why not, rather than go that route, and I'm hesitant on this because I'm not decided on any of it, why don't they say we recognize association, or whatever you want to call it.
Civil unions, that's what
They call it civil union.
Yeah.
I reckon that they have the same, all the rights that a man and a woman have.
Wow.
Some man and a wife have.
Yeah.
They have all the rights. But now I think that you see, I the other day I recognized it happening, and I think it's the greatest thing in the world. The CNN.
Now, I want you to put a pin there.
Go ahead.
I want to talk about that. I don't know if you're getting into Don Lemon's position.
No.
But I want to talk about that. Let me take a commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to news, get back to this great conversation. I'm sitting with none other than Pierre Depew, really being able to have a very frank conversation about all that matters here in the country. We're going to take this commercial break and be right back after this.
The foundation.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas. Is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
After a brief layoff, Fish Fry Fridays is back in the big carnival month. The Big Band Visage will get you in the mood for the big carnival road march in the streets of Nassau. That's right, it's the pre-carnival edition of Fish Fry Fridays, May 5th at Margaritaville, downtown Nassau. Featuring Visage, DJ AI, and special guest models from the Euphoria Madness Masquerade Band, modeling their costumes that will be on the road for Carnival. Fish Fry Fridays is back May 5th. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. $25 general admission. $55 buffet and party. Don't miss Fish Fry Friday. Back with the pre-Carnival edition.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. Foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant and your company, The Foundation, on this beautiful, absolutely gorgeous Wednesday afternoon, April 26th. I got to say a shout out to my Aunt Patra, my Aunt Cleopatra Stewart. She celebrated her birthday a few days back. She said, "Did you tell me happy?" I didn't. So forgive me, Aunt Patra. She celebrated her birthday a few days back. I'm sorry. And my uncle celebrated Oliver Hepper, and he also celebrated his birthday on April 18th with my son, Destin. So both of them celebrated this birthday. If you're celebrating a birthday out there, I want to say happy birthday to you. I know that you guys are very enthusiastic. As we get towards the weekend, you're kind of gearing up to do some stuff, but enjoy your birthday responsibly. All right, so have a good time when you're doing that. Also, I just kind of wanted to put out there to all those persons who are just tuning in. I don't know whether or not you got your lunch at 1 o'clock or you wasn't listening in the office. We're here with Pierre DePuch. We're really being able to have a very good conversation. I'm enjoying this. Talk to me, because I like this. I tell you, I sit with people that have been doing this long enough now that I can always anticipate the direction that they're going to take, right? A lot of persons have come in here, condemn a certain position, and continue to be able to raise up their political organization, which is exhausting. We're talking about a social position. We're talking from a nationalistic perspective, and I didn't want to necessarily hear that. So to be able to have Pierre DePuch in the, this ain't me saying that Pierre is the second coming, but this is me saying that he has remained consistent over time. His family has remained consistent over time to be able to identify this equality, this social equality, and sort of social elevation of all men, black, white, mulatto. Make sure you pick up the papers. You could be able to see. I read it in the Tribune today, but I saw Maurice Tyne put a piece in the papers today. I don't know if you guys read that. It was a great piece. We're gonna have to see if we can sit down with Maurice Tyne and talk about these things. But I'm here with Pierre DePuch, and really being able to talk to these things. Now, when we left off, we were talking about, and I really wanted this conversation to be about the core conviction. There is significant political conviction or individual convictions within our House of Assembly post 73. And what do we need to do to get back to the strength of understanding our positions? One of the things that stood out to me as you were speaking, Mr. DePuch, Pierre, I want to say this. When you actually indicated that these men or women would stand up in the House of Assembly and kind of hoorah, but nothing between their ears, right? There are a lot of men and women who are, that I call token. They take on these positions, the political organizations call them. They're often well in their constituencies, but never agitating, never speaking up, and even speak to the language that, I got to keep my job. We heard so many members of parliament speak to the fact and just oblivious to the construction of the Constitution that empowers them to be able to represent their constituencies, right? So talk to me about that. Let's get back to that, because I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about education. We left off with the civil union stuff, so we're talking about a lot of stuff. But you said something that's crazy. Over the past few days that we've been talking, you talked to me about the mob. You talked to me about mobocracy. You talked to me about this Machiavellian concept, an idea that's spilt into our society that causes people to, that the end justifies the mean, that do whatever you will. I feel like it's Machiavellian wrapped up in Satanism. Do whatever you will because the end justifies the mean. Do you believe that our society has taken on this concept of doing whatever we will just to be able to get to the objective or the idea of perceived prominence and social elevation? Talk to me about it.
Well, what you say there makes me think of something I read the other day.
Never heard of it.
Okay, you never did. He was a man in Germany
Mhm.
who masterminded the extermination of 6 million Jews.
Mhm.
And he was asked, how did he do it? Because the German...
This was Hitler's right-hand man?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I know. Okay.
Goebbels. And because, Germans are noted as being one of the smartest people in the country, in the world. And he said it's very simple. It's not because of Nazism or communism or socialism or democracy or anything else. He says you get people scared enough and hateful enough, and they'll do anything you tell them. He says it works in democracy, socialism, anything. And that is right. You get the people excited, blinded. The most recent case is Trump, a jackass. In the United States, he's gotten his power by turning everybody against Mexicans. That's where his...
I can't even breathe. Go ahead. Go.
Excuse my...
No. Go ahead. We can let you pass. Once you pass 75, you can do it, right?
But that is how he is. And you would be amazed the number of people who've caught on to his foolishness, okay? Hitler did it. All of these people have done it, and we don't recognize it. And they're using color, race, anything that's emotional. A marriage, the whole bit, anything, religion. You started one of the easiest ways to get somebody excited to talk about religion, okay? Or their nationality, or their race. You get them excited, you tell them anything, they believe it.
But you said to be scared and hateful. As you say that, one thing pops up in my mind. A great deal of persons post-73 have, when the Union Jack fall and the Bahamian flag rose and there was this sort of clarion call that spilled out into the community, and mothers started to go home and tell their children that you can be whatever. You can dream big. We're going to get ourselves out of this sort of hole of deprivation and poverty, so forth and so on. So when that spilled out into the community, and here comes these kind of a neo-colonialists, right? So they were colonialists that looked like us. They were just black men that took on the role of the white suppressors, right? And when they took on this role, they did everything that they could to identify some to pull to themselves, and gave people just enough, that this still exists, by the way. They gave them just enough to come back. They gave them just enough to be, just survival. They just gave them enough to come back. And people are so scared to lose the little that they have and become so disdained and hateful as it relates to who they identify as the oppressor. Right? So there's still this conversation that exists that says the white man has done this, the white man has done that.
That's right.
But this has been introduced by our own people.
Exactly, but it's to get people scared, and get people hateful, get people excited, and they aren't thinking. Okay, now, years ago, many years ago, and not all that far, you would take a dead dog and put PLP around his neck, and people in certain areas would vote for him. Because not because they were white, so don't get me wrong. You could put a dead dog in certain areas in this country and say a UBP, he's a UBP, and the people vote for him. It's emotionalism. We have to get rid of it. We have to get rid of this emotionalism. We have to recognize that we were made in the image and likeness of God. He's given us some more than others, as far as ability is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a good broadcaster. Okay, you are, but it doesn't make you better than me. It only makes you better than me in your field.
Mm-hmm.
But in my field, I'm trained, and I'm better than you
Mm-hmm.
in that field. But it doesn't mean to say that we can't come in the same room together
Mm-hmm.
or talk to each other. So it's opportunity rather than. I think that the founding fathers in the United States, all men are created equal, and I didn't think that if you take that literally, I don't believe it. But I think that they were trying to say that all men, they say men, they say men, as you say it today.
I think it's interchangeable now.
Yes, women,
Mhm.
people, created with equal opportunity.
To access growth, to access
Exactly.
all of us have a chance.
Right.
Okay.
And I believe that is what the founding fathers meant.
Mhm.
Okay? And that is what we should do. We should be out there breaking our tails to make sure that a street sweeper is a good street sweeper. A doctor is a good doctor. He has every opportunity to become a doctor. And if you don't want to do anything, I'm not going to break my tail to give you something. Okay? I just ask you to walk in and show you why you should walk in. That is what people should do. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way, and it's not unique for the Bahamas. It's unique in all of these places, and we're going to lose democracy. Now, you want to know why people say, and I agree with them, that democracy is dead and mobocracy is taken over. Think about it. What is democracy? Choices, right? Free to make a choice. And so you're asked to make a choice. You say, give me the facts to make the choice. Now, where are you getting the facts today? Fox News?
You did it again. This twice now. You go to CNN, now you go to Fox. Right?
No. Well, the fact is that you just fired a man because he was saying one thing on the air and another thing he'd say privately.
Yeah.
Okay? So the fact is, you don't have facts to make the decision. So what do?
You got to create them, man.
Mob.
This is heavy. Guys, please be a part of the conversation. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family of islands, absolutely toll-free. Please be a part of it. 242-300-5720. Or hit me up with the text 422-4796. I got a telephone call. Let me take this telephone call. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm good, thanks. Howard, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Hey, what's up, Toby? This is Toby.
Everything's cool, my brother. And good afternoon to you too, Mr. DePute. I've been listening on the radio to you, man. It's very insightful.
Thank you very much.
To your contribution.
Thank you.
Howard, you were just discussing sort of this divide and conquer that they use in wars and whatnot. And it still continues that you have people in the past that were going around in the name of religion or going around in the name of representing the king or the queen or some sort of royalty. I have a question for your guest, Mr. DePute. Do you believe that it's fair that in modern times that you have royalty going around trying to get Bahamian crown land?
Royalty going around trying to get Bahamian land?
Yes, sir. Like
who?
Royal Caribbean, carrying on like royalty.
Thank you, my boy. Thank you, Toby.
My friend,
I'll hang up and I look forward to
No,
it.
don't get me started on that. I think that the Bahamian are their own worst enemies. Everything in the Bahamas is no good if it's done by a Bahamian. And that is the attitude we have, all of us, most of us anyway, have between our ears. It's not any good unless it comes north of what we used to call Hog Island. I think it's wrong. I think Bahamians can do it. And I think Bahamians should be encouraged to do it. I'll tell you a situation. Years ago, when I was Minister of Agriculture, I suppose everybody know that I put a ban on bananas. They call me a banana minister. But that was simply done because the wholesalers here refused to buy Bahamian bananas, although they were better, refused to buy it. And now they put a ban on it. Within 6 8 months, the quality of bananas went up. The quantity, they increased production by 1,000%. And my wife went into a grocery store and she bought a hand of bananas. And they started to charge her for foreign bananas. She says, no, these are. And a big argument started. And she's not an argumentative person, but she said, no, she stuck to her guns. And they had to bring the manager in to say, yes, they are Bahamian bananas. They're automatically no good if they're Bahamian.
My goodness.
And that's our attitude, and it's unfortunate. People come here and just basically steal our country. I shouldn't say steal it because we
You offer it up.
We give it to them.
Yeah.
At a price, of course, but you wouldn't like to know who gets the price.
Okay, talk to me.
But we give it up. Most of the Bahamas is given up. It's a gorgeous place in the Bahamas. This business at
This is paradise, but we're not.
But this thing at Paradise Island and what have you, it's disgraceful.
You see, what's happening for the majority of us, the 80-some, almost 90% of us that are of black and brown, we don't necessarily, a great deal of us, we're not experiencing the true sense of what paradise is or could be, the potential of our dreams and being able to see beyond this, because this social suppression and conditioning has left us in this sort of position.
Well, the politicians keep you stupid, hey?
That's something, eh?
They keep you uneducated and misdirected, and so when a decision is made, as far as I'm concerned, that Paradise Island thing there's no decision to be made. That's an automatic thing, as far as I'm concerned. Toby Smith should get the concession. There's no question about that, Mike.
Heavy.
See, and Bahamian should, if he wishes to sell shares in this thing to raise money.
Yes.
Why can't he do it? Why does he have to be somebody else to do it? Everybody else who's invested here goes to somebody to borrow money.
Even if the bananas come from farm or a black farm, if it's Bahamian,
who cares? They're good.
My goodness.
We should insist on quality.
Wow.
I told the people, the farmer, when I had them in, I said, I'm going to put this ban on. And first of all, they said to me, well, we can raise our price. I said, no, you can't. I said, the minute you raise your price, I'll open the floodgates. So they didn't raise the price. They said, we could do it in a year then. I said, no, you can reduce your price in a year simply because you will have a larger part of the market and its volume.
Yeah.
And they all agreed. And then, of course, they pulled the rug from under me, and all the banana growers in the country realized they got thousands of bunches of bananas to grow and eat themselves because they couldn't sell them.
That's crazy. Let me take the next telephone call. Caller, you on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Afternoon to both of you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Mr. Puch,
Yes,
Mr. DePuch, well, person who served in the Ministry of Government. We have a serious social disorder in our country. I'm trying to make it quick. You once served. As a result of this, do you believe it's leadership from both political sides, from the church, or the family structure is eroded? Do you believe we have lost or we are losing the traditional family structure in terms of this social disorder that we have and the homicide each day? I'll hang up and listen to you, sir.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate your telephone call.
I think we have lost it. But the only reason we lost it is because we lost it. And they took advantage of a bad situation. If I say yes, a boss to you, you treat me like a slave. If I'm prepared to say yes, a boss every day, I look at you. An advantage of by, I should say foreigners, because foreign people, we were all foreign at some time. I'm talking about people who make the decisions in New York about our way of life in the Bahamas. I think that we have lost our way, frankly. And I think we have to get it back. I think you notice it. I am amazed at this group of people. As you know, I like Brave Davis. But everybody wants to, they just get in the House of Assembly, say, Brave, Why didn't you do this? Why aren't you doing this? Why are you doing? Why is everybody getting shot? Did he create that? Or did it take years, generations of foolishness to create that? We have to start waking up to recognize that this is our country. We welcome people to come here, but it's still our country. You realize that in some cases, the head offices of people are in Florida.
Yeah.
Now, in the old days, you talk about tradition.
You had to be headquarters here.
Oh, yeah. Or you couldn't come.
Headquartered here.
Going back to Stafford Sands, who was not my favorite person, socially particularly, but Howard Johnson's came here. No, Howard Johnson's restaurant.
Wasn't it a hotel?
I think they had a hotel.
Yeah, okay.
And they said they wanted to, he said, fine, you can come. They wanted to go in one of the hotels out west. And he says, but you will have to have a green roof. I don't like your yellow roof. It doesn't blend in with what we like, the Bahamas. And they said, this is true. This is a true story. And they said, well, but Mr. Sands,
our branding is great.
We yellow roof here. He said, but that's all. He said, well, that's okay. Go somewhere else.
You serious?
There's a heart attack. That's the only Howard Johnson, the green roof all over the world. Okay?
That is crazy.
Right? That's the way it is. That's the way it was.
That's the era you spoke of, though.
Huh?
That's the era and the time.
That kind of person, oftentimes you call them racist. They were probably I don't believe a lot of people were racist. They were just scared to be not racist.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make excuses for them because racism is an awful thing. But you stood your ground. Now, the comparison was, I was sitting in the house one day and where's that place they blew up out west, put the new hotels in? What hotel is it? The Crystal Palace, wasn't
it? Okay, yes.
And they had all this...
It's Bahama now.
They had all this fancy stuff in there. And I said to somebody, that's not Bahamian. How come you allowed that? You know what the answer was? Well, that's what they wanted. Now, that came from a government member.
You're getting heavy. You're getting heavy with the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, please give us a call. You know the numbers, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the family of islands, 242-300-5720, or hit me up on the text, 422-4796. Let me read this. It says, if Mr. DePuch could go back in time and change one decision of his life, when would it be and what would he have changed? They're getting deep in your business.
I've thought of that often. I would not have come back. But I'm glad I came back because I came back here and met my wife and raised a family.
You mean from school?
Yeah, when I was away at school.
When you was away at school?
I had opportunities, all kinds of opportunities in New York to come back. When I worked there for a year, and I had all kinds of opportunities.
This doesn't sound like a regret, though.
It's not a regret. He was asking me a question.
Yes.
And that was my position on it. You will find that if somebody, a young person, a young professional, was coming back here now, I'd advise and ask for my advice. I'd tell him no.
Don't come back.
Don't come back here. Simply because his ability is not recognized. His friends are. You have people here, I won't call names because I think it's wrong. You have people here who are in government, whose families don't come back here. We have a brain drain in this country.
Big time.
Big time. I told you we were off the air, but my daughter wanted to come back here, but she was washed out because she was blue-eyed and blonde hair. And she's doing extremely well in Atlanta. Extremely well. Working on a PhD now. Love the country.
You know, I listened to you, and we started at the top of the conversation with your grandfather, sorry, and then we went to your father. And we can identify how the DePuch name has been a part of the history and the development of our country from the House of Assembly standpoint, always being able to agitate for equality and agitate advocacies. And even at 85 years old, you sit with me with a kind of a desire to see this intellectual capacity come to the forefront and being able to do the right thing. But after all of this that you yield, you put on the table, and we ingested, we are here listening, you say, if you are a young professional and you're in Canada, you're in America, you're elsewhere, don't come back to this country. You wouldn't advise them to come back.
Well, you know, and that's a broad statement.
Yeah.
But I think that you don't have the opportunities here. It's all emotional.
How do we change this?
I'm going out, you're coming in. And you're one man, but travel 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Too many people are accepting too many things. Too many people are saying, well, in the House of Assembly, it's disgraceful. They're blaming the brave Davis for everything.
Mm-hmm. That's for the tradition. Blame the man at the top.
Yeah, because they don't know how to fix it.
You get the top job, let's slap the blame on him.
Slap it on him, yeah. Simply because you don't know what the answer is. You ever thought of that?
They often talk about creativity, innovation, and being able to, make the decisions to shift the direction, but they've always taken the draconian traditional approach that just drag down a people and fortify this, what you talk about, this kind of a scared and fearful position.
You know what position we're in? Many years ago, when the Gym Tennis Club was at the corner of Mackey Street and Wolf Road. That's where that gas station is now.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they play tennis. Kendall Isaacs, the Isaacs family are fantastic tennis players. A thing there brought Jamaicans in, and a national thing. And I was taking pictures for the Tribune, and I was standing there talking to Albert Miller, who became Sir Albert Miller
in Grand Bahama.
Mm-hmm. But he was an inspector here.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, and he says, some people, because I was sort of an oddity, because I was so young, taking pictures and stuff. Those cameras we used were bigger than me. He says, we got one murder case on the agenda for the year. He says, this country's really going to hell. I'll never forget.
One murder case.
Right.
One.
How many did you have yesterday? 4?
My God. In one day.
In one day. See? And what has happened, this is not anyone's, and then everybody jumping up, Brave, why don't you do something about it? Brave can't do this, and Brave can't do that. This is an accumulation of years of neglect and foolishness.
Wow.
They see some of the leaders doing nothing and getting everywhere, going as broke and come out as millionaires.
I'm always baffled at that.
Well,
that there's a lot of persons are willing to take the financial hit and receive $28,000 because of their personal aspirations to be able to get more when they get in there. Yeah. They went in, many of them, with this kind of an aspiration to thief. Talk to me.
That's the way it is. That's the way it is. And until we start saying whether we like it or not,
and doing something about it.
The problem you'll find here, nobody has come up with a suggestion how you stop crime in the country. Although it's grown from years from the time Loftus Roca talked about it way back then. Mm-hmm. Nobody has done anything constructive about crime. They talk about it. It's the same thing in the United States. How long has these school attacks been going on?
For years.
Mm-hmm. Plenty talk, eh?
All the time.
What has been done about it?
Zero.
Exactly. And we're doing exactly the same thing here.
When they talk about the gun laws, when they talk about these particular things, they create measures and red tape maybe at the doors of the school, but not really doing anything about it.
They're doing nothing about it. Nothing.
No.
Nothing. You see?
No.
Nothing. And we come here and we start this. I see the And I shouldn't jump on the FNM because I don't belong to any party anymore. I believe the FNM died with Cecil.
You can cause me choke because we didn't come. This is a lot. This is a lot.
You asked my opinion, I've given it to you.
This is a lot.
That's
The
what I
FNM
believe,
died with Cecil,
as far as I'm concerned.
and the FNM didn't find its true identity in terms of being able to step into leadership until 1992 with the former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram.
You call that a leader?
Oh my God! Okay, all right, okay. Let me take this commercial, but I gotta pay these bills. Y'all gotta stop. I gotta pay these commercial bills. These bills. I got the lines lit up. You guys, I want you to be a part of this. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Hit me up with the text line 242-300. 5720 or hit me up 422-4796. We're going to get to the last part of this, having a great conversation with none other than Pierre DePuch right here on The Foundation with Howard Grant. We'll be right back after this.
Foundation. Foundation.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's Friend Branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Guardian Radio and the Foundation are on the move.
Bahamas, this one's for you.
SBT, Small Business Thursdays. Every Thursday, the Foundation with Howard Grant will highlight small businesses throughout the country, far and wide. Your products, services, prices, and personality. We want to hear it all. Get your 30 or 60-second advertisement heard on air at a fraction of the cost. We here at the Foundation understand the times and don't want you to be left behind. With Guardian Radio, you reach your specific demographic and it is unmatched.
We reach thousands daily.
Get your products off the shelf and your services in their hearts. Small Business Thursdays with the Foundation, only on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. For more information, call 302-2300 or the Help Me Howard line at 827-0111. SBT. Small Business Thursdays. Get your business moving today.
Make your morning sizzle with breakfast from Burger King Nassau. Enjoy not one, but two delicious sausage and cheese croissantwiches made just for you for only $5.75 including VAT. This breakfast classic is made with Burger King's savory sizzling sausage and melted American cheese on that classic buttery croissant you love. So say hello to Sizzlin' Mornings at Burger King with two sausage and cheese croissantwiches for only $5.75 including VAT. Only at Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
At Bahamas Bus and Truck Company Limited, we provide vehicles known for quality and durability. From the iconic Jeep Wrangler to the award-winning Grand Cherokee, we've got your everyday driver covered. For larger tasks, our Ram 1500, Mitsubishi Fuso Canter trucks, CMC Verica vans, and Fuso Rosa jitneys do way more than just deliver. To keep you going, our parts, service department, and body shop can accommodate our brands and others. Call us today at 322-1722 or email info@bahamasbus.com.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company, The Foundation. Beautiful day, chopping it down, really being able to have a very good conversation. I mean, listen to me, I get excited. Hey, I love this. I'm really enjoying this conversation. I'm here sitting with none other than Pierre DePuch, being able to give us some insight. Now, I got to touch this before we go. When we left off, you started to talk about the FNM sort of really lost its identity and its strength with Cecil, right? And, in my dispensation and era, my mother, I could remember my mother in 1992. I think this was just before Hurricane Andrew. And we went off and did some stuff, came back home. I think it was August of that year. And quietly, no one was saying anything, but there was sort of a murmur that existed in this space. Now I'm 11 years old. And, the results were coming in, this thing. And we're looking at some stuff. We don't see any F&M flags, nothing red. We don't really know politics like this, but we could feel that there's a shift in the air. And when the results came out, I think it was after 6, the sun was still high. My uncles was in the road. He had a red umbrella. My mother ran down the street. She had red. Everyone was in the streets going crazy that the Free National Movement just won the government of the Bahamas in 1992. This is the introduction of not only the government in the sunshine, but the introduction of this concept that exists today that say that the Free National Movement is the party that was established under Cecil that's now being able to find its identity not outside of government, but actually the government of the Bahamas. And you're saying to me, this is baffling to me. You're saying to me that the identity, sort of the conviction, the strength and position of the Free National Movement died with the separation of Cecil. Talk to me about it.
Well, I was telling you while we were off, and I won't go through it again, but when Cecil, I fought against Cecil very heavily in Abaco in 77. And I got a call when I came back just before 82. And one of my people who were trying to talk me into going into politics, back into politics, said that Cecil, telephone rang and said Cecil wanted to talk to me. And I said, I took the phone and I said, and he said, Pierre, this Cecil? And I said, yes. I said, he says, I understand you're thinking about joining the F&M. And I said, Cecil, you sure you know who you're talking to? I said, are you talking to, you think you're talking to my brother Bernard or Etienne? No, he says, I'm talking to you.
You know, for sure.
I said, but I was the man that fought so hard against you in Abaco. No, that's why I want you on my side. So he said, can we talk when I come back to Nassau? And I said, yeah, I'll come and meet you. So I went up to his house and we talked. And I was convinced after that talk that Cecil was not what he was racked up to be. Everybody says, Cecil said, Cecil was a man that's hard-headed and is it either his way or the highway and that, all sorts of stuff. Made him to be a real so-and-so. But he was opposite. He was opposite.
After one conversation,
yeah,
you identified that.
He was basically socialist because he was trained in England and I basically, my background, capitalist. So several things came up and I put my position, he put his position, we argued, we talked about it. But I realized then that he was the kind of man that whether he agreed with you or not, he was prepared to let you put your position forward. He did not say, it's my way or the highway. And it's on that strength of that I joined the F&M. I won that election.
This was 82.
82. Mm-hmm. I won the election. Mm-hmm. And Cecil and I used to talk sometimes overnight in my office, discussing the agenda for the next day in the House of Assembly. We went word for word. Often he took the socialist position, I took the capitalist position, and we argued sometimes all night. But the next morning we'd come up with a third position, which encompassed what I thought and what he thought, and it was a better position.
Mm-hmm. It was a happy medium.
Right. Mm-hmm. When he was chairman of the F&M, or leader of the F&M, mm-hmm. he would sit around the table and he would go talk about it. Because he was like a brother, we became like brothers. He would say, you, what do you have to say? You. And never say what he has, his position. And after he'd let everybody talk their positions, he said, no, this is what I feel. He took everybody's ideas and tried to mingle them.
Wow.
Okay? That was the way. And that is what I call democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I call a political party.
Well, now that you put it like that, this heavy what you did. Now that you put it like that, this kind of an inclusion, this political, social inclusion within the organization to get to the objective and the agenda, that's not necessarily what history says about Hubert Ingram. that
Well,
he would.
I prefer not to talk about Hubert Ingram. He was not assassin. By far, he was not assassin. It was his way or the highway.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's what history actually
Yeah.
identifies. I want to ask you this question since we're talking about on this line. A lot of persons would actually speak to the fact that there is two political parties in the country now. And though we're seeing the COI take on a position, though we're seeing the DNA, though we've seen others actually kind of agitate to be able to see that there is a third party or a shift in the country, the two anchors that remain is the PLP and the Free National. And most recently, we'd have seen the PLP kind of shifted some things in their constitution and found themselves back in the saddle, back in the seat of leadership in the country. The Free National Movement over the past, I want to say, 2 election cycles have had significant internal fighting. There has been relentless fighting in this sort of a back and forward, all spilt out in the public arena about what's happening in the Free National Movement. The former Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis, being able to come in and speak more specifically to the fact that the Ingram era is over, found himself in the same position, where the Minnis era is over. I want to ask you whether or not you see the idea of the freedom fighters, because you would have been around. The idea of the freedom fighters, the idea of the free PLPs. Do you see that spirit residing in this era of the Free National Movement?
No.
I love these guys. I like these quick I like these quick answers. Talk to me about it.
Well, I don't know because I haven't. I resigned from the FNM. So I belong to no party. I would in an election. There are a couple of FNMs who I would support. Support Brave Davis, no question about that. Because I would support the individual rather than the party. Because as I say, the party has become not a clan but a cult. And that's happened in the States too. And cults will not help this country because basically it's a dictatorship.
I feel like it started in the States. It started with Reagan, maybe before Reagan.
Yeah.
But in my era, this concept and idea of Reaganites has spilled over into the Bahamas with Ingramites.
And it's wrong. It's very wrong. I don't see anything really that he did was constructive in this country. That's my opinion. There's a lot of money came in, a lot of building went on, but who owns them?
Wow.
There's a lot of islands been sold. To who?
Wow.
But the point in time now is I don't say like Haitians because Haitians are fine people. But the immigration problem today is with the Haitian. Who let all the Haitians in here? They blame it on Brave. Brave just come. So you see,
and a significant concentration was in Abaco.
Why?
No, and in the Mud and Pigeon Peace.
Why?
And this is where.
But why were they there?
The member actually sat for a long time.
Exactly.
Wow. Now, I can take another avenue at this.
Go ahead.
I can take a stab at this. There is chatter that exists, social chatter, from 2002 to our 21 years. There has been this kind of a shifting between one party and another, one party in terms of being able to allow a party at least 2 terms to carry out their vision. Most recently, now some things have changed over the past few weeks, few months, but most recently, there has been a significant position with persons would be able to declare that there's a possibility that Brave Davis and his organization, the PLP, may see a second term. And not because of something great that they're doing, but because of this indifference and relentless infighting in the Free National Movement. There has been this sort of a position that says that they don't believe that Pintard is leadership material. There is too much fighting between Dwayne Sands and his desire to be able to move towards leadership. And there's this turmoil that exists that no one can seem to settle. a lot of persons, and I'm going to ask you this, a lot of persons are saying, if the party had that kind of conviction that Cecil had and being able to call you in that apartment, do you believe that there should be a call back for Loretta Turner Butler Turner, to be able to get back involved? Loretta, I know you didn't want me to talk about you, but we can do it. To get back involved in politics, in the organization that she so dearly loved, to be able to see it back on right course towards growth and development.
Loretta wasn't an F&M to start with, I don't think.
Well, her family is PLPs.
Well, no,
yeah.
they're PLP.
Mm-hmm.
Nice people.
Absolutely.
Milo Jr. was a decent person.
Mm-hmm.
I served in the House of Assembly with him. As a matter of fact, his family asked me to speak at his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Loretta would make a difference.
You think that's how far gone the party is?
I think so.
Oh, my God.
I think so. It's, again, you. You let it happen. You meaning young people. Not taking the ground. People have to understand one thing. A politician wants your vote. And if you serious about it and say whether you're PLP or an F&M or independent, you ask them another series of questions. What is your position on this? What is your position on that? What is your position on the other thing? And hold them to it rather than telling you something they think you want to hear. You hold it to him because the next time he comes to your house, he knows that you're going to ask him those questions. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you take this stand you said you were going to? I voted for you because of these reasons, and everything you've done is opposite why. When they realize that you're holding them to account, they're going to change. But right now, they can take that old tag and throw it around your neck and say you belong to this cult, and so vote for me. I don't care what you are. And that's what's happening. It's happening here, and it's happening in the United States. If we go back to the old story, the Machiavellian situation, the end justifies the means. These politicians, they think they're they're talking to a bunch of imbeciles. They treat them like imbeciles. They get their vote and do what they like, and that's what a lot of them are doing.
Very condescending in their tone.
They should say, "We believe in this, and this is what." And mind you, there's situations where you go in and you're taking a stand and say, "Look, I think this should be done." You realize when you get in there, you go back to people and say, "Look, I made a mistake on this." But that's happened to me any number of times.
Wow.
And I say...
But I think it goes back to conviction.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to conviction. You
it's
have to
conviction.
have
If you don't have conviction, who cares? They don't. And I don't want to criticize people in the House of Assembly because I know very few of them. But I would venture to say that very few of them have that conviction.
Whew.
On both sides.
What do you think?
I'll go further in saying I believe that Brave is being undermined. Sure. I shouldn't say this on the air, but I'm saying it anyway.
My mouth dropped wide open. Just now I tried to pull it up. It's a lot. You believe that he is? There is always this sort of social conspiracy that actually runs at the undercurrent, socially, right? That if you're living on the surface, you don't hear about it. But if you tap in right to the undercurrent, there's always this sort of an idea that there's something afoot, there's something up, right? And that concept not only exists within the PLP, but also within the Free National Movement. I want to ask you this question. What needs to happen in politics, not just the FNM or the PLP or any, what needs to happen in politics in our country to be able to see, let's just change it. What needs to happen in our country, forget the politics concept, for us to get to this place of paradise, peace and growth that we envision, that we've been promised, that we sing of and that we continue to be able to pledge our allegiance to? What needs to happen to get us back on course as we reflect over the past 50 years?
Well, that's a mouthful. I really don't know, because we have got a nation thinking one way, and I don't know if they're there, that are prepared to swim against the tide. They will be ostracized and put out. I think, though, that the leadership, which I frankly believe has been lacking, should come from the church. They should come from the schools. When I graduated from St. John's University, I had to take, in order to graduate, I had to take a course in ethics, or I could not graduate. You find out now in the States how many courses, they don't even know what that that word means.
No.
How much is being taught in our schools today? Free thinking, right and wrong. Here are the facts. When I was coming up, that was always at the forefront. You always knew. Now maybe it was different. Maybe I was a bit different because I was sort of in a political family that was in the front lines all the time. But you have to ask, if you're building a house, the first thing you do is look at the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
If the foundation is weak, the house is going to be weak. It's going to fall down. We are building the foundation. The people, we're responsible for building that foundation. Now the question is, have we let ourselves down?
We have. I think so.
Now,
I think
the
so.
other question is, the ones like you, and I'm not picking on you, so get me wrong.
I like how you keep throwing me in this. I'm going to go with it. Go ahead.
But people like you who are in positions have to stand up and say this is right and this is wrong.
Wow.
And you have to look upon yourself, not what's good for me, it's good for everybody else.
Wow.
Because I've had to make decisions many times that are not good for me personally, but good for the whole group that I was representing.
Let me read a text. It says, "Hi, Howard and Mr. DePuge. Would you back or vouch for an independent group of patriots that want to change and bring real change in this land?"
Yeah. I will vote. I will vote for the person in my district who I respect and who I think can do a good job. And if they don't send me anybody and there's no independent coming around and say, I won't vote.
Wow. There's a lot of texts that's actually coming through. I want to thank you guys so much for that. I see one caller. If you're going to take 30 seconds, I can let you go. But because you know we're out of here. Let the caller go. Caller, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Howard, good afternoon.
Hey, what's up, Jeff?
Right here. Good afternoon, Mr. DePuge.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Always a pleasure. You know me, Mrs. DePuge. I am one of your followers. I always enjoy your contributions to national development and also the history of this country. And I always congratulate you on the excellent work that you have done for country thus far. Howard, Mr. DePuge has said something so profound. In fact, the question that you asked, how do we right-size the Bahamas, even at this stage? Is it too late? It is not too late. As you and he so rightfully said, we need leaders in this country who is willing to go about correcting some of the ills that is plaguing this country by the different treaties and stuff that we signed on to. If we are able to find leaders, and it don't have to, right now as it stands, if you really listen to the conversation out here, you have many laypersons who aren't even involved in the day-to-day politics of this country, but just the ideas and the thought processes that they are having. It tells us that our people are on the precipice of trying to correct this country in the manner that we want this country corrected. Some of these treaties that we signed on to is a detriment, is an albatross, is like a rock around the albatross neck that must be removed. And if we cannot find leaders that is willing to go and do the hard work to correct some of the social ills, some of the treaties that we signed on to, we will be right back here in the next 10 to 15 years talking the same talk.
Thank you,
we
my
need strong leaders who's going to do it for us.
Thank you, man,
for
Jeff.
taking my call.
I appreciate it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much. Mr. DePuge, I just want to be able to say this to you. I don't want to shower you with accolades. You already didn't swat it at the forefront, right? But I want to say to you that you have, whether you believe it or not, have proven And with this sort of suggestion in my personal text and also in this public text, you have proven to be the social consciousness that the nation yearns. You have proven, and I know there's a great deal of persons out there who always speak truth to power, but there is sort of the social expectation that a great deal of persons of your ilk stay in his or her lane. You're already being able to receive a great deal of the portion of what would exist in this country. But you're speaking truth to power, and you're speaking about equality, and you're speaking to the consciousness of the nation. I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you for the 85 years of your existence. I want to thank you for your years of toil and sort of commitment to country. I want to thank you for coming back from